In the next episode of Fathers Who Bother, we speak with MC and ghostwriter extraordinaire Skyzoo. We talk about his new EP, Milestones, named after his son Miles, and dedicated to fathers everywhere. Check it out. What's up, everybody? This is Jerry Barrow. Welcome to Fathers That Bother, because we are as dad as we want to be. Today, my special guest is a great MC who I've known for some time and who's now experiencing the joys and pleasures of new fatherhood with a 2-year-old toddler. That's got to be so much fun. Everybody, welcome Skyzoo to the podcast. What's up, brother?
Yeah. What's up, bro? What's going on?
I'm good. So I understand Brooklyn's finest is in Atlanta these days.
Yeah.
What motivated that move?
Oh man, my son, 100%. You know, once my son was on the way, I made the decision on the spot. I said, "Yo, we out." You know what I mean? Like we out. We gotta give him something more. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, you know, I grew up with both of my parents in separate households. You know what I mean? I always had two homes. You know, but every day I was with my moms and my pops, one way or another. I never wanted for anything, but at the same time, you know, growing up in Brooklyn, you know, in the Sty and Crown Heights, and then my pops moved to South Side, South Jamaica, Queens. So like being out there, you know, you privy to a lot of different things. And for those listening, if you know my music, then you know the stuff I was privy to and the stuff that I witnessed firsthand, based all throughout my music. You know, so those are the type of things that, you know, as awesome as a job as my mother and father did, you know, New York is a certain beast regardless. And there were certain things I didn't want my son to really have to deal with or be around or witness firsthand. You know what I mean? So if he was going to witness it, let it be from me telling him stories and all that. So, you know, long story short, I bust a move. Plus having room, you know what I mean? Like going from a 1-bedroom apartment that they tell you is a 2-bedroom because they put a wall up in the middle of one of the rooms. So now, yo, you got a 2-bedroom. You know what I mean? Like, you know how it goes, man. So going from one of those to a 5-bedroom house on a cul-de-sac and a subdivision with a backyard, a front yard, a closed-in deck, a grill, you know, a tennis court, a pool, all that up the block in the subdivision. We got to go. You know what I mean? And that's what I got now. So I'm blessed and fortunate. And I was like, we got to do this. You know what I mean? I did it solely for him. If it wasn't for my son, if it wasn't for Miles, I'd be in Brooklyn. I'd be in that 1-bedroom perpetrating as a 2. You know what I mean? I'll be right there.
So when did you find out that you were going to be a dad? Do you remember that moment when you found out?
Yeah, it was April 2017. I was at this event for Lafayette Clothing, and with my man DJ Teddy King. I was at this event in LES, and I got the call, you know, from my whiz, and it was like, "Yo, I'm pregnant." And I was like, "What?" Now, backstory, because this is the father's, you know, podcast, so I can talk about it on here. Just being super candid and super open. I was told for about a year or two before that I couldn't have kids. You know, when you're trying, it's one thing to just, you know, be out there, whatever. But when you're actively trying to bring a life into the world, you know, you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to do it. And then for whatever reason, it's not, you know, it's not going. So you go to the doctor, you know, and the way the world works, people always assume it's the woman first. It's just the way the world works, and it's sad, you know what I mean? But so it was, you know, was it my whiz? And, you know, she did all the tests with the doctor. It was like, nah, it's not her. So I did a bunch of tests, and it was like, yeah, it's you. And they were like, I would have a 2% chance of conceiving naturally. And this is something I never really talked about, you know, in an interview, and because there was no medium to do so. You know what I mean? But a platform like this makes perfect sense. You know, I said it on Retropolitan with me and Pete when I said, doctor said I couldn't make Miles until I made Miles. Like, people didn't know what I meant, but my family knew what I meant. You know what I mean? That's what that meant.
Wow.
Yeah.
I caught that too in the song we'll talk about later, where you said doctors told me my only hope was IVF.
Right.
I was going to ask you about that, but you've already gone there. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, it was IUI and an IVF. Like, we did IUI, I don't know how many times, and it didn't work. And they was like, IVF. Like that's the next option. Because they told me, they said 2%. I went to 5 different specialists, all kind of tests, all kind of fondling, for lack of a better term, like all types of stuff going on. And they were like, yo, it's a 2% chance of it
How
happening.
did you feel? How did that make you feel? Like, because you don't hear about that. So I wanted, what was going through your mind when they told you that?
Yeah, a lot of times, like when it's a woman who's told something like that, they may feel like less of a woman, which I don't agree with. I think a woman is a woman regardless. You know what I mean? I think a woman wears a crown and is a queen, whether or not they can have kids. So, but I understand like a woman feeling a certain way about that. So,
Right.
men would feel that way too, and you don't hear about it as much with men. For me, it didn't bother me too much. I felt like maybe it was something I could speak on later, or people could relate to later, or I don't know how you can advocate for it, but maybe advocate for it. You know what I mean? I felt like it was something that people could maybe relate to. Maybe there are some other dudes out there who like, yo, that's me too. Like, but you don't think it's gonna be that many men going through that, because normally society says it's the woman. So
Right.
I
Right.
wasn't like crushed. You know what I mean? I was just like, all right, it's a little wild, but whatever, we'll figure it out. And then it just happened naturally. It was no IUI, it was no IVF. It just happened. So when I got the call, going back to you asking how I found, when I got the call, I was like, yeah, right, because I'm going off of what we already knew from the doctors. And I'm like, yeah, right. Get the hell out of here. What are you talking about? And it was like, no, I'm serious. I'm serious. I literally was like, yo, take another test, B. Like, get out of here. Only because of what the doctor said. You know what I mean? So I was like, man, get out of here. And sure enough, it went down. And I was like, whoa. So then we called our fertility doctor, and it was like, yeah, come in tomorrow morning. It was a Friday evening. He was like, come in tomorrow morning. Let me see what's going on. Make sure everything's all right, because he was blown away. And we
Mm.
went the next morning, impromptu visit, and he did the test and all. He was like, yeah, you definitely are. And he was like, this is literally an act of God. He was like, we don't know how this happened. This because your probability of it happening, talking about me, was
Hmm.
so minute. He was like, this is an act of God, totally.
That's
Like it's a
beautiful.
miracle. You know what I mean? So, as I said on the record we talking about later, Miles the miracle. You know what I mean? Like he said, yo,
Yeah.
miracle.
Yo, you weren't kidding, because I know most people refer to their kids as miracles, hyperbolically, but
Right.
you really, that's some real spit. Oh man, congratulations. I mean, congratulations anyway, but congratulations
Yeah.
again, because I
Thank you,
know that
man.
must feel amazing.
Thank you.
Um, I wanted to backtrack just slightly,
Hmm.
because you started talking. You one of the few MCs I knew that really talked about their relationship with their father.
Hmm.
And I remember Everybody's Fine, and that opening dialogue with your pops basically talking about you coming into the world. Now, was that a story he told you, or is that something you kind of editorialized? How did that come together?
Nah, I just put it together. He never told me that exact story, but I know his life story. Him growing up in Flatbush, running the street, jacking people, sticking people, just really being an 80s Brooklyn guy through and through, name ringing bells. And my pop really was a street guy who just cleaned up, you know what I mean? But he really, really was a street guy. So I knew all that stuff. I know my pop's friends, my godfather, my cousins, OG guys, you know what I mean? So I knew the story, so I was able to put that together. And when he heard it, he loved it. It wasn't like, hey, that didn't happen, because it did happen. It just may not have been verbatim word for word. But I knew where he was from all the stories he would tell me about how once he knew I was on the way, he cleaned up. I'm going to chill on this. I'm going to go get a job. You know what I mean? Like all that type of stuff. He started working at Paragon and Union Square and all that. And, because my pops had me young. Pops was 20 and my mother was 19 when they had
Hmm.
me. So just all the stories he had told me, I was able to put that together.
Okay, that's so. Tell me, and those who may not know, what was your relationship like with your father growing up?
Oh man, it was every single day, just like with my mom's. You know what I mean? The thing about it, growing up as a kid, I had my parents every day, but I never lived in the same house with both my parents at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it was always two houses. Like my parents split up, when I was like my son's age, when I was a toddler. So
Mm.
I wasn't old enough to remember any. Like I never saw my parents hold hands. I never saw my parents kiss. You know what I mean? Like to me, it would probably freak me out. You know what I mean? Like because I just never saw it before. So for me, it was normal. So I would watch TV in the '80s and '90s as a kid. You watch TV, and you see parents getting divorced, and the kid is heartbroken, or it's a big deal. And I thought it was comical as a little kid. I was like, wait, so big deal. You know what I mean? But that's only because all I knew was mom is here, dad is here, back and forth every couple days. Monday through Thursday, I'm here. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm here. Different parent picking me up from school every day. That's all I knew, and that was normal. There was nothing wrong with that because I got everything I needed, everything I wanted. I didn't miss a meal ever. I just had two cribs. You know what I mean? Like I had two different apartments. And that was that.
Wow, wow. So now you've taken that experience and now your experience being a new father and put it into this EP called Milestones,
Yeah.
which is just dope, phenomenal, timely as hell.
Thank you.
Uh, when did you decide to do this and when did you start recording it?
The idea came from working on All the Brilliant Things, which is my upcoming full-length solo album towards the end of the year. I was working on that, and I had this idea to do a record about my son and my father and all that, which wound up becoming a song called A Song for Fathers, which is on the project. So that song was going to be on my album. And when I did the record, Illmind and I did the record together. And when I did the record, I loved the record so much and the way it came out. It was sometimes you have a vision of a painting of how you want to paint something, and then the painting comes out exactly the way you foresaw it. And when that happened, I said, man, I got to expand on this. I think I'm going to pause working on the album for a second, work on an EP about this type of stuff, and go. You know what I mean? Because I just love the way that record came about. That was August 2019. So that was last summer when I started working on it. And I work fast. So like I did that record and a couple more, and then I went back to the album. Then I jumped back into that project a couple months later. I went on tour. I jumped back into it. So it wasn't like I've been working on it for a year or 8 months or something. Like it was quick, but I was pausing because I had other things going on. But I knew it was something I wanted to finish and I wanted to do. And with the record, with A Song for Fathers, I chose Illmind to produce it because one, Illmind is one of the greatest producers, and he could any idea you give him, he can make it come to life. Two, he's like my brother, and three, Illmind's dad, who was a musician and taught Illmind everything he knows, his father died like 10 years ago. So his pops is a very big piece of his story in his life, and he has a picture of his pops in the studio everywhere, and all that type of stuff. So I came to him with the idea, and I said, I only want you to do this record because of your pops. And
Right.
he was stunned, and he was like, let's go right now. And he just started cooking right on the spot, and he made the beat in 10 minutes, and it was done.
So you came to him with the Horror Silver record?
Yeah, yep.
That song, man, like I was saying in the text, like my father, he passed in 2018. He was a huge jazz fan, and he used to play that Horror Silver record in the house. So it was just so much synergy. And when I heard it, I had to pause for a second because I was starting to, get emotional. Yeah. I'm like, how did he know that this would align like this in this way? And now knowing that Illmind made the beat, because I didn't know who made the beat, it all just makes even more sense. And it's just so beautiful. Talk to me about some of the lines I'm seeing. You sent me the lyrics. I'm like, this is all just blowing me away. One line in particular, which is kind of relevant to today. You said, my only job was making sure you survive. Like, what is it like for you as a father raising a son, specifically a son?
Yeah.
In this day and age, knowing what, not to say that Black women don't go through this too,
of course,
but I have a particular fear because they when it comes to our boys, because I have a boy and a girl. My son's 17.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Just to backtrack a little bit, I didn't realize your situation was so recent, man. And my condolences. I thought when you hit me, the way you wrote it, I knew something had happened, but I thought maybe it was a little while ago. I didn't know it was so recent. So, man, my hat off to you, bro. With the joint, man, especially with that line, like that's kind of the stuff my pops would say to me, because like on that song, it's me talking about my relationship with my dad, and then me talking my relationship with my son, and then me wrapping it up in the third verse, like how the two bounce off one another and how one is important to lead into the other. So with that line, my only job, he said, my only job is making sure you survive. Like that was it. Like my pops would always say that to me. Like my only job on this earth is to make sure you're good, is to make sure you survive, you make it, you defy the odds, you don't become a statistic, all of that. Like that's my job. He was like, so my job to this day, I'm 37. My pops is 58. He's like, my job still isn't done yet. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm mega grown. You come to my house and have a beer on my grill with my food, you know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, my job's never done. He's like, you'll see. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. I see. My son Miles could be 40, 50 years old. I'm still going to be like, yo, watch out for that. Yo, what? You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you get that too, So my pops looks at it the same way. Like, job's never done. My only job is making sure you survive.
Wow. When did your dad finally first meet Miles?
At the hospital. At the
Okay.
hospital when he was born, everybody came. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
hospital was full of people. Everybody came. He didn't want to hold him because he was like, I don't really like holding baby Sky. I don't want to drop him. And I was like, man, hold the baby, you know what I mean? So, he was holding him, all awkward, like, I don't want to drop him. I don't want to drop him. But, and then my grandmother was like, yeah, your father was like that with you too. He didn't want to hold you when you was born because he think you're going to drop the baby. Like, all right. But, yeah, he was at the hospital, you know what I'm saying? And, he lit up like a Christmas tree and, all that type of stuff, man. And it was just beautiful, man. You know what I mean? It's just a beautiful thing. And the same stuff my pop said to me growing up, he says about my son. He goes, you think something's gonna happen to Miles? Like, we just talking hypothetically. He's like, man, let somebody think about laying a finger on Miles and see what they wind up in. You know what I mean? Like, so the same love transcends. You know what I mean? And absolutely, I feel it. I know that feeling.
Said my son was born in the same hospital as Blue Ivy.
Yeah, yep. He was born in Lenox Hill. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did y'all shut down the whole floor?
I would. We did get the private room though. I paid for the private room. You know what I mean? So we cool. The first night we didn't have the private room, so it was a little rough because the woman next to us, I guess, she had to breastfeed like every hour or something. So she had an alarm on her phone, and the alarm would ring off every hour. Like bam, bam, bam. But she would sleep through it. So the alarm is just buzzing every hour, waking us up. And I can't wake the lady up. That, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna move the curtain and go and wake the lady up and be like, yo, your phone is buzzing. So I didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? So I was like, yo, we gotta get our own room. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna go invade the lady privacy and tell her, yo, turn your phone off every hour it was ringing so she could breastfeed her baby. I was like, we gotta get our own room. So I just told them, yo, how much is a room? And I think it was like $800 a night or something crazy. And I was like, yo, book it. Like, let's go. Like, we gotta get
do it.
You know what I mean? So yeah, he was and the thing about that line, that's one of my favorite lines too, on the project, I was born in Kings County, shooters beside me. My son was born in the same hospital as Blue Ivy. My father was 20, I was 35. I'm still trying to measure up to the worldly design. So it's funny, it's like a yin and yang with the line, because I'm saying my pops was so young when he had me that I was born in Kings County, which if you know Brooklyn hospitals, that's like the worst hospital in Brooklyn.
So was I. I was born there too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
Yep.
I was born in Kings County. Shooters beside me, meaning like the guy in the next room probably got a bullet wound. You know what I mean? Like that's where I was born. My son was born in Lenox Hill, where Blue Ivy was born. So the line means my pops was doing it one way because that's all he could do, but his job was to make sure I elevated it. So job well done because I was able to elevate it and have my son be born in Lenox Hill, Upper East Side, and da da da, and all the other things that come with it. But then on the flip side, I say I'm still trying to measure up to my pop, even though I was able to elevate it. I still don't feel like I've measured up to what he's doing. So that's the irony of the line where I'm like, yo, I took it a level higher, but I still don't feel like I'm good enough. You know what I mean? And he was younger. He had me at 20. I had Miles at 35. You know what I mean? Like I elevated. I did it right. I took it the next level, but I still don't
Right.
feel like I'm good enough. That's
Right.
that's the irony of the line.
Right. Yeah. I think we all grapple with that at some level. Whether our fathers, it's like whether if our father wasn't there, we feel like we want to overachieve and be better. And if our father
Absolutely.
was there, we're trying to match whatever he did. So there's always a pressure when you're a new dad.
Hmm.
What was it like these first 2 years of Miles? Like, what's that been like, man?
It's been amazing. He's a wild boy. He's all boy. There's a saying that my grandmother says. She says, "Oh, he's all boy." Like when my grandma's is 81, 82, South Carolina. She see him. She's Skylar. He all boy. He all boy. I'm like, yeah. He's bouncing off the walls, climbing over the couch and jumping off. He falls once a day and he laughs it off. And I'm like, dude, chill. Like, chill. I'm not trying to go to the hospital. And he just laughs it off and runs. Boom, takes off. He wants you to throw him as high in the air as possible and catch him. And so it's been wild, man, but it's been amazing. People are like, my God, he looks just like you. He got your eyes, whatever, and all that stuff lights me up. He's into a lot of the things I was into as a kid, even though he's only a toddler. And it's crazy, man. He's super into music. I see it already, and I always told myself, I said, man, I'm not gonna force him into music. I'm not gonna push him into music. He's gonna be surrounded by it by default, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna push him in it. One, because I don't know if I want him in the industry because it's so
Mm.
cool. You know what I mean? Like I know everything I've gone through in the music industry and I've been successful and been able to have a great career and do great things, but it didn't come without a lot of nonsense. And I'm like, man, the game is so corny. I don't know if I want that for you, but I'm not going to deter you. It's not
Right.
going to be like the movie Coco where it's like, no music, the music is banned. You know what I mean? Like, clearly I know Coco because I got a toddler son, but it ain't gonna be like that where it's like the music is banned. Like, nah, like if he wanna do it, he could do it, and I'll make sure he has everything I didn't have. Everything I know, of course, I'm gonna give it to him. Yo, move like this, don't move like that. Here's where I made a mistake. Here's where I did it right. I'm gonna give him everything he need to know. But if he came to me wanting to do anything else but music, I'd be with it. You know what I mean? But if you want to make music, I'm with it as well. But I see it in him, right? Like he has these toddler toys, and like you hit a button, they go A, B, C, D, does the thing. So he'll hit the button over and over, and it'll be like A, B, A. And I'm like, yo, what is going on? Like, I'm dead, no lie, man. Yo, dead serious. It took me a minute to realize it. He's sitting in the car seat at like a year old, and he had this little piano toy, and it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he would 1, 1, 5, 1, 1, and I was like, yo, what is going on back there? Like he's making beats 100%. Like I got videos, like he's making beats. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is insane. Or like when he's watching a movie,
Mm-hmm.
he watches the movie all the way through the credits. And we were like, why does he not, like, if you turn it off before the credits, he gets upset. Why is he
Mm.
watching? Because it's music during the credits. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Or like when he's playing, if a show comes on and there's a theme song, he stops. No matter what, it could be Insecure, it could be anything. If a theme song is on, he stops and looks at the TV. And as soon as the music stops, he goes back to what he was playing with. So he's gonna be in music. I'm preparing for it. I'm like, well, he's gonna take this studio that I built, and he's gonna, he's gonna have his little friends over here making his little beats and recording his demos, and get ready. You know what I mean? It's coming.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, let's get into a couple of the songs on this project, man. This particular one that stands out is that When He Turns 10.
Hmm.
Um, Talk to me about the inspiration for that, and the whole tie-in to Boys in the Hood. Seems like a lot of brothers I'm talking to have had their Furious Styles moment one way or another.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And for me, my life was kind of just like that. It's funny. I spoke about it on in celebration of us on a record called Honor Amongst Thieves, where that was my life, and it was funny because when that movie came out, I was like 9, going on 10 or something like that. I was around that age, and my pops took me to the movie theater. I told about it in music before, but every time we would see a powerful movie like that, my pops would make me write a report on it. He would almost make me write a book report on a movie. I had to write a report on Malcolm X. I had to write a report on, Boys in the Hood, bunch of movies. You know what I mean? Like that was the thing. When I got home, I had to write a report for him, and it's definitely something I plan on doing with Miles as well. But with that movie, that was my life, man. Like, my mother was here, my father was here, and I remember the day. I don't know. I think my mother picked me up from school, or I was at her job or something, and we were going home after work or after school or whatever. We was going home, and she broke it to me. She said, I got to talk to you about something. And she was like, you're going to be living with your father soon. And I didn't understand it. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I see daddy every weekend. Like, what are you talking about? And she was like, nah, we're going to change that. Like, you're going to be moving in with him, and you're going to see me on the weekends. And, I loved my father to death, but I didn't want to change the flow. Like, I was used to what I was used to. So I wasn't like crying or upset like that, but I wasn't a fan of it at first. I was like, what? Like, why? You don't understand. You're 10 years old, So just like the movie. And I remember packing stuff up and going over there and moving to the sty and all that. And that was it. Actually, we moved to State Street first, but it was only for like a month. My pops had a crib on State Street for like a month, and then we moved to the sty. So it kind of didn't count. We went right to the sty. But yeah, and then and that was that, man. And then I saw my mother every weekend. Then just like Trey, it got to be like, you coming over this weekend? I'll be like, nah. Well, why you not coming? Oh, because I'm going outside. Like, I was so busy playing, like he said, I was cooling with Rick. And she's like, you were cool with Rick all week long. Like, that was kind of what it was. Like, I didn't want to go back to Crown Heights. I was having fun in the sty. I had my friends, and I was running around, and I had a little girl I was chasing in the neighborhood, and I was playing manhunt and playing ball. I didn't want to go back over there. I wanted to stay where I was at. You know what I mean? So it was just like the movie. And I tell all my friends, I got a lot of friends who they got baby mama drama, or they split from they child moms or whatever. And especially if it's a boy, I tell them all, yo, when that kid turned 10, go get him. Because there's certain things a man has to teach a boy when he gets to that age. At 10 years old, you getting a little hair in different places. Your voice is about to change soon. Girls is making you feel a certain way that you never felt before. You curious, you know what I mean? Like, you're getting looked at in a certain way in the street, police, different things. You got to be prepared for all these things. A woman can't teach you that. You know what I mean? I don't care who says otherwise, and that is no knock on a woman at all. There's no knock on a woman. Nor does it mean a single mom can't raise a boy correctly, because it's happened trillions of times. You know what I mean?
Right.
But she shouldn't have to. That's the point of that. When I say a woman can't teach a boy how to be a man, she shouldn't have to do that, and vice versa. Like, if you got a daughter, how you gonna do her hair? You know what I mean? Like,
some of us learn, but I understand what you're saying.
Right, of course. You know what I'm saying? Like, or when a woman starts to change in certain ways.
There's things definitely my wife has talked to my daughter about that she's more experienced with than I am.
Of course, you never been.
No pun intended.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Like, you never been a woman, so how you gonna tell her, yo, every month, boom, boom, boom? Like, you know what I'm saying?
This is what to expect, right?
Yeah,
right.
You can do your best, but you shouldn't have to. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's two of us. You know what I mean? So, I always tell my friends, man, go get that boy when he turned 10, man. Like, I know y'all beefing now and whatever. He turned 10. Start patching that up. So when he turned 10, go get that boy. You know what I mean? Like,
did you notice a difference in how your father parented with you full time versus the weekends? Did things change at all?
Nah, it was the same. It was just more. It was just more. You know what I mean? Instead of hearing him, 2 days a week, it was 6 days a week. You know what I mean? Or whatever it was. If it was something good, or if it was him getting on me, it was just more. You know what I mean? So
right.
Yeah.
On Eyes Wide Shut, you had a cool line. You said, "My pops got tickets for bringing the noise, bringing the funk." Like, what do you remember about him taking you, like, going to a Broadway show? That's a big deal. Like,
yeah. Yeah, that was my pops always did stuff like that, even though we lived in the hood. We lived up the block from Biggie. So everything you hear on Ready to Die was our neighborhood in that era. You know what I mean? We was there 92, 3, 4, 5, 6, like we was there. So all that stuff was happening on the neighborhood. But at the same time, we went to Broadway plays We went to restaurants. We went to the Poconos. You know, all these different things. And my pops always talks about how he did that on purpose to show us something more than just Brooklyn. You know what I mean? We went to Martha's Vineyard. We did all that. You know what I mean? Like, but still came back to St. James and Gates Ave and Fulton Street. Like, still came back to the hood. You know what I mean? But he did all that to show us a different light. And it's one more of those things that I plan on doing with my family, with my son. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, what I plan on doing, just carrying that tradition. And that's a true story. Like, I had to be home because, yo, all right, you going outside? All right, be back by 5 because the play start at 7. We gotta go. Like, you, if you ain't here, I'm gonna find you. You know what I mean? So like, I gotta go home, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And going to BBQs. Everybody in New York love BBQs. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yep.
you know, that's a real story. Like, my man was dealing with a situation with his connect, and we was little kids, man, 14. You know what I mean? Like, you know, my man was dealing with a situation and he was venting to me about it, and you know, whatever. And you know, I was like, all right, now I'm with you. Is that, but all right, I got to dip in a minute. You know, and it's just so wild that the yin and the yang and the juxtaposition of all that, and how similar but then different. And you know, my friends wasn't going to see Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk. You know what I mean? It wasn't Top Dog, Underdog, and you know, all that. You know what I mean? And that was our life. You know, I'm outside hanging out. I'm at the corner store. I'm running around. I'm at the park. I'm on the park bench. Whatever. And then I got to go home. And then when I come out, I got on jeans and a sports jacket and a chambray denim button-up shirt. And we getting in, because my father had the Wrangler. We getting in the car, and all the goons is outside, like watching us, you know, watching this street Huxtable family load up in the car. And, you know what I'm saying? Like watching, you know, this, you know, we wasn't Huxtables, but you know what I'm saying? That type of vibe, like, you know,
in comparison, I get it. I get it for
so
sure.
it was wild. Like, you know, that was normal. You know what I mean? And in the hood, like that, Sky was just with us shooting dice. You know what I mean? And now he got on his sports jacket and his chambray shirt, and he will see him later tonight. You know what I mean? Like, just wild, man. Like, it's just a weird thing.
Did you see Boys in the Hood with your father?
Yeah. He took me to see it, and then he made me write a report about it.
What do you remember about that? Because I know that's the theme running through the whole project.
The first time I saw it, I was only 9 when it came. I was 91. I was 9. So I wasn't even living with my pops yet, but you know, he had me for the weekend and we went and saw it. And I remember, it's funny, man. I remember us coming out. Now, mind you, if I was 9, my pops was 29 because we're 20 years apart. So he still was super young. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I remember we came out the theater and he was like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, "It was good. It was good." I'm 9 years old, mind you. I'm stressing that for a reason. He goes, what was your favorite part? So I said, the part when they was in the classroom fighting. and, and he got mad. I'll never forget. Matter of fact, I'm going to ream him about it when I see him this weekend. He got mad at me. He was like, "That was your favorite part?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You didn't get nothing else from that movie?" And I was like, "Nah, but that was the best part." Because I was 9. And in the movie, they was like my age at that scene. You know what I'm saying? So like,
right,
that was the part as a 9-year-old that I could relate to. You know what I mean? Like, they were 9, 10 years old. They was walking to school, seeing stuff in the street that they, you know, that little kid shouldn't see. That was me. You know what I mean? And then they was fighting in the class. That was all of us. So like, to me, as 9 years old, that was my favorite part of the movie when he cursed each other out and he whipped them with the stick. That was the best part of the movie when I was 9. You know what I mean? So my pops got upset. He was like, "That's all you got from that? All right, when we go home, you writing a report about it." You know what I mean? And, you know, but then obviously I broke it down in my report and he was happy with it or whatever. And you know, as I got older, I've seen that movie 1,000 times. You know, I could recite it word for word. You know what I mean? But that was the day I saw it. That was what happened. I'm like, yo, I'm 9 years old. How you gonna be mad at me for that? My favorite part?
What's your favorite part of it now, looking back?
Man. I love the childhood scenes more so than anything because it shows that development and it shows super interaction with Trey and Furious. You know what I mean? Like, because later on in the movie they're interacting, but not as much because it becomes more about Trey being outside, going to school, being with his woman, all these different things, and how he handles all the knowledge Furious gave him and how he uses it.
Right.
the first third, it's like, I guess, 1/3 of the movie, the first third, when he's raising him. That's kind of my favorite parts of the movie because of the interactions of the two of them. And then the scene where he has to give up the gun and all that, and that feeling of wanting revenge and wanting to be there for your peoples, like that as well. But the entire movie, man, it's a phenomenal movie. To think John Singleton did that at like 23 is mind blowing, and it humbles you. It makes you be like, damn, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing with my life?
I know.
It's like when I heard, when I learned Spike wrote "Do the Right Thing" in 10 days. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, it humbles you. It makes you sit down. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The one scene that stands out for me was when he's giving him the haircut and they're having the talk about sex. Because my dad used to cut my hair. Did you have any rituals with your pops like that?
Karate movies. We watched a lot of karate movies when I was a kid. He didn't cut my hair. We went to the shop. I went to the shop. He didn't cut my hair.
Right.
He tried to line me up a couple times when I was a kid, but I lived in the barbershop. Let me see. Messing with the Knicks, like all the Knicks stuff, because he's a big Knicks fan. Jazz stuff now. He be trying to act like he know more jazz than me. And I'll be like, man, I don't think you want it with them. We laugh about it. And he'd be like, man, I'm the one that put you on the jazz. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if you want to have this jazz discussion with me. You know what I mean? So we do all that. And just, I listen more than anything. As talkative as I am as a person, when him and I are around, I don't speak that much when he's speaking. Like, I'm still being a sponge. You know what I mean? Like, I still listen more than anything to absorb what I might have missed on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always listening.
Do you have any rituals with Miles yet?
Not yet, but I got a lot that I'm planning on. I mean, me and my pops went fishing a couple times. It's hard to fish in Brooklyn, but we went fishing a couple times when I was little. Prospect Park and all that. Was it Prospect? I don't remember. But we went fishing a couple times when I was little. But again, that's hard to do when you live in Brooklyn. You could do that in Atlanta. But there's certain things I plan on doing with him. Definitely a lot of basketball, a lot of music stuff if that's what he wants. And what my pops used to do, my pops used to make me read 2 books in the summer as a little kid, 2 books every summer, and write a book report on them. So I had 1 book in July, 1 book in August. And even if I got straight A's in school and I did great, didn't have to go to summer school and nothing like that, I still had summer homework. You know what I mean? And I used to hate it, man. I used to be cursing my father out in my head, man. Like, come on, B, it's the summer. AP English, I got A's, everything, no less than a B+, and that's only in math. Come on, man. Let me get a break. But,
no breaks. My father had me reading Dante's Inferno when I was in middle school. I'm like, half of this is in Italian, Pop. What are you doing?
You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. But, looking back, everything it did, man, like, all my friends is jammed, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a couple friends, like my best friend A, who I always talk about. He had his pops, so he's straight. You know what I mean? He good. All my other friends, man, like me and A, the only ones that made it. All my other friends, they in the joint, or they did time in the joint, or they dead. Like every one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't, and that, man, every story, when we look at the common denominator, no dad. You know what I mean? No dad. And that's what really made this hit home. And I was like, man, enough is enough. Like, especially in hip hop, it ain't that many.
Right.
Ain't that many records, man. It ain't that many records. Like, I was talking to Will. This ain't no flex, but like Will Smith is my man, and we've gotten like really really tight over the last couple years. So I talk to Will all the time, and I told him about the project, and he was like, man, I can't wait to hear it, bro. Like, please send it to me as soon as it's done. And I was like, yeah, like, you really the only other person that did something really really positive for fathers in hip hop. You know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, I just was telling my story, you know what I mean? And I was like, yo, you really one of the few people. I mean, Nas with daughters, I'm sure there's people out there. I don't want to sit there and say there's no records about fathers in a positive light, but man, it's like 100 to 1. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
There's
It's
definitely more my father wasn't nothing, my father wasn't
exactly,
around type
exactly.
records
It's
than
literally, bro. It's like 100 to 1. And just to say this on the record, it's not. If that's your truth, that's your truth. There's nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's your truth, that's your truth. If you grew up without your dad and your mother was everything and your mother held you down and you made it because of your moms and your pop was a sucker, word up. You know what I mean? Like, sing that truth, man. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of people who that wasn't their life, but they don't talk about it. You know what I mean? They may not go out there and say, I ain't have no dad, but they're not going to go out there and say, yo, I had a dad who was always there. For whatever reason, it ain't cool in hip hop. Man, that's
right.
the coolest thing in the world. Be like having both of your parents. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of over it. I was like, man, enough is enough. You know what I mean? I remember on Everybody Hates Chris, which I absolutely love. I love Chris Rock. He's from the Sty, so it's always going to be a family thing. And even though I don't know him, you know what I mean? But, you know, he's just such an amazing dude. And on Everybody Hates Chris, the Father's Day episode where he was like, you know, Mother's Day, you can't get in the restaurant. Father's Day, they paying you to come in the restaurant. Mother's Day, all the gifts is sold out. Father's Day, gifts is half off because they can't get rid of them. You know what I mean? Like, and that's such a real thing, and it's funny, but it's such a real thing. And I was like, man, I don't know if we getting the light we deserve. We can get light without taking the mother's light away, because you know, make no mistake, mothers are everything. You know, women give life, so life is a woman. It comes out of a woman. It wouldn't be without. You know what I mean? So that goes without saying, but I'll say it. You know, like women, motherhood, that's everything. But fatherhood is right there with it. So let's just get a little light for a quick second. That's all I wanted to do, man. You know what I mean? And use myself as an example. And the irony of Boys in the Hood being so eerily similar to my life. So being able to use that as kind of a mascot throughout the project.
Yeah, yeah, I peeped that and thought this is just very apropos. Going back to the title track, I know you had some plans to do a video, and I know that COVID has just made everything hard. Have you been made any progress towards doing something visual? Because I just think about all the MCs I know who are dads, who I plan to have on the show, you know, God willing. Um, what do you think can be done visually for this to get it out to the world?
Yeah, I'm working on something now. I can't get super into it only because I don't want to ruin, you know, the surprise. But
Got it.
I'm working on something kind of cool. My idea was to do like a bunch of rap dads. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Terminology and his kids, and Pete Rock and his kids, just every rap dad, you know, who that I could, you and your kids, everybody rap dad, you know, whether you rhyme, produce, you know, you cover hip hop, whatever it was, everybody on the scene that I could get my hands on to come through and, you know, and just be in this video with their kids and make it a real cool thing. But, you know, Corona, you know, really got in the way of that, obviously. So, I'm working on something else, and hopefully, you know, we can get it off in time, and it'd be really, really dope. I'm excited about it. So hopefully it's something that resonates. It should be really dope. If I could pull it off the way I want, which I'm working on now, it should be really, really strong.
What has been your biggest challenge as a father? What's something that threw you for a curve? Like, you know what? I really wasn't prepared for this, but I'm gonna figure it out.
I think the balance with work, because you know we're in the same industry. It's not conventional. It's not 9 to 5. You know what I mean? We don't turn it off at 5:01, clock out, and go home, and then we good until 9. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it don't work that way. So like, I could be in the studio. I could be taking a phone call at, you know, 11 p.m. because there's somebody in LA and it's, you know, 8 on AN. So we still got, you know what I mean? Or I could be on tour for 2-3 weeks at a time. And so that type of stuff, which I knew was a reality and I knew was going to come, but I didn't know how it would hit. But at the end of the day, my priority is my son. So everything is dead when it comes to him. Like, get it all if I have to. You know what I mean? If I got to choose between taking him for his doctor checkup versus, you know, doing an interview with so and so or doing a show with so and so, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it really is what it is. I'm picking my son every day of the week and twice on Sunday. You know what I mean? So, but that's the only challenge, but I welcome it because I do all of this for my son and for my family and livelihood and all that. And if I had to stop today and just live off of what I made and go get a job somewhere targeted, I would do it. Like, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? If I had to, thank God I don't have to because I'm doing well. But whatever I had to do, pick up garbage, whatever, I'm doing it. You know what I mean? And having a kid, it humbles you. You know, when you running around, you 23 and you living in your own apartment, you got a bachelor pad and you in the industry and you running around, it's whatever. And you like, man, this is what I do. I ain't doing this. I ain't doing this. Is what I'm on. But when you had that kid, if you love the kid the way you're supposed to, all bets are off. You're like, I'll do whatever. It don't matter. You know what I mean? Like within dignity, of course, but I'll do whatever for my kid, you know?
So my last question is, are you going to raise him to be a Knicks fan or a Hawks fan?
Oh, you're gonna be a Knicks fan, man. He got wild Knicks gear. You know what I'm saying? He got wild Knicks gear and all that. But we do be going to Hawks games, because it's just so much cheaper down here. Man, I bought season tickets for the home games last season. You know, we did both years. We did the last season and this year, which was like a half year. But man, season tickets was nothing. The whole season being like almost on the floor, like 4 rows, four chairs back from the floor was like the cost of one ticket on the floor at the Garden. Like it was insane, man. Like I was like, what? Like I was giving tickets away. Like, yo, I'm gonna be on tour, bro. You want these? Like, I took West Side Gun to the game. I took Tour to the game. Stimuli. Like, yo, let's go to the game. Let's go to the game. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, just giving tickets away, man. You know what I mean? Like, so those type of things I could do down here, which are very difficult to do in New York. But those are some of the traditions. Like you talked about traditions earlier. We definitely gonna be going to a million sporting events when the world gets back to normal and he's older. That'll be our thing. We going to Hawks games. We going to Braves games. We going to Falcons games. New Yorked out, but we going. You know what I mean? We going.
That's what's up, man. Yo, Sky, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this wonderful journey you're on, the new project, Milestones.
June 19th.
And June 19th.
Yeah.
And we're looking, and congrats on the Bluest Note too. I've been rocking that as well. You always give me plenty of music to listen to, man, on the low. Like you prolific, man. Like I'm just looking at the Skyzoo collection. Is like this dude drops something like twice a year, from Retropolitan to what was the one with the pedal bike, the bike on the cover. Yeah, so
thank you, bro.
You always hook me up, so I appreciate it.
I do it for people like you who get it. You know what I mean? You always got it, and you always know what it is. You know what I mean? Like I don't really gotta. Even when you talked about the intro and the celebration of us, a lot of people thought that was me talking about my son, and I was like,
oh,
I don't know if you didn't hear dude say we naming him Skylar. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if you didn't hear that. You know what I'm saying? Like, my name is Skylar. You know what I mean? So
exactly,
really they were talking about having me. So but you always get it. You know what I mean? You got that off the rip. So I appreciate you being who you are, man, and your ear and your pen as well. You've always come out to any listening events I've had or whatever I was doing. And I appreciate you, man. Your support is paramount, and I appreciate you, man, 100%.
All right, thank you, man, and tell Will we welcome him on the show anytime.
Word up. Will's awesome, man. He's such a cool dude, man. He is awesome. So yeah, absolutely. I'll make sure he gets to hear this.
All right, thank you, brother.
Peace and love.
Peace.